Follow the Path. The Bears Grove is adult-level discussion of role-playing as a storytelling art at samchupmedia.com. And welcome again to another Bears Grove podcast. This is your host, the rather husky-voiced Sam Chupp. I am in my car yet again. Sorry for that, y'all, but this is where I get time to do this, and so this is what I'm going to do. At any rate, I am coming off of a wonderful holiday time. Samhain, Halloween happened, and that was great. And I'm excited about the coming fall weather as we wind the season down to winter. So today on the program, I just want to talk a little bit about the concept of stance and how stance is important when you are thinking about a game. I was listening to a podcast today. Academy H is the series. It's I think it's Tales from the Apocalypse. I'm not sure. I have to go back and get that information for you. But listening to it, one thing that really struck me is that the way they do their moves, their discussion in the game. Because as we all know, a game is a conversation, right? That's just the way it works. Games are conversations. And the way they do their conversation in game is interesting, because they really do pay a lot of attention to sort of theater of the mind. All right, you kind of see in your mind's eye all of the activity that's taking place, and they're very good about describing their place in the world and what's going on there. And to a certain extent, that is stance. Okay, that is how stance works. So there's a couple different kinds of stances. There's actor stance, where you're basically in the character and you're describing. I mean, all you are doing is saying what you do and what you say, and you just go ahead and say what you're going to say. And that's good. I mean, that's fine. A lot of people do that. A lot of people do. That's probably the most used role-playing technique, is to do that. However, you can take it up a level. You can go to kind of what this one podcast does, which is authorial stance. It's the author stance, where you're, instead of saying I do X and Y, you say my character does X and Y, or the name of the character. If the character's name is Eon Star, okay, so Eon is going to do this. Eon opens up the door and strides into the room as if he looks like he owns the place. He looks around quickly for some kind of sign that his arch nemesis, the ever-present Entropy, is in the room. And not immediately seeing Entropy, he decides to take a seat at the coffee bar and order a latte. Okay, so what the differences between actor stance and authorial stance. Actor stance would have just said, okay, like a player doing actor would say, what's in the room? Okay. And I want to make a roll to see if I can see Entropy when I walk into the room. In authorial stance, what you've got is a situation where the player is taking some things for granted, in the sense that they've created a coffee bar. Was that coffee bar in the GM's notes? No. But does it matter? Probably not. But the important part there is that as a player, you're empowered to make some small adjustments. And the GM can come back and say, actually, maybe you thought it was a coffee bar, but as you go in, you realize it was just it's a plain bar. It's an alcohol bar. And that is, not something that you expected. And if the character is an alcoholic, that would be a kind of a push back at the player, sort of saying, okay, now, surprise, yes, but it's a bar, not a coffee bar. And that would be a fair play, because it's important for everybody at the table to feel like they can add to the scene. And if it's dirty pool, you can pause the game and talk about it. Like, Sam, that's dirty pool. I, would not have even come in here if I thought it was an alcohol bar. And at that point, you just kind of want to relent. I mean, what's the point? You're trying to have fun. Just enjoy yourselves. So those are the two kinds of stances that players are involved with. And then, of course, there's directorial stance, where you're talking about an all-seeing eye that moves through the space and that does all the stuff that needs to be done. That can basically dictate what happens in the story, and also where the camera of the mind's eye, looks. And that's an important concept. So that's my talk today about stance. Let's see. I want to also follow up about my Mastodon talk. Today I have joined Dice.camp. I am very impressed with the quality of conversation we're having there. I invite you to come out, register on Dice.camp, download a client that can handle Mastodon, and try it out. You don't have to become a major expert in anything in Mastodon in order to enjoy it. So I just recommend that you want to take a look at that. There's also another link I'm going to put in the show notes talking about the Indie RPG newsletter. Now, I don't typically read a lot of gaming news because it doesn't really affect me too much. I mean, what the latest thing that Wizards of the Coast or Paizo is putting out, I mean, this is not to run them down at all, but it's not really impacting me. I got into D&D 5e last year, and as part of that, I wanted to go ahead and get all the books and do all the things, and I did that, and it was expensive. Oh my gosh, it was really pricey. But I have it now. D&D Beyond is a good resource. I have a lot of books on there. There are some books I'd like to get just to be able to thumb through them and look at them. But ultimately, I'm paying for my subscription, and I'm happy with it. I'm not running a game right now, but I could. I take that back. I am running an on-again, off-again game, and it seems like it's more off-again than on-again, but that's just the nature of life in the current year that we live in. I've had two people fall out sick, one with COVID, one with something else. And I've also had people having to leave for a week or whatever, people having all kinds of things going on. And so ultimately it's just the way that life works. I wish I had a reliable method to do pickup place somewhere. And by reliable, I mean a place where I could go and be certain that I would find a fairly good group of people. I am a little picky, I'll admit, but ultimately, that's, I'm not picky about what kind of person you are per se. I just want to know that you and I are on the right side of the story or story or mechanics spectrum. I like talking about game mechanics like everybody else. I enjoy reading the complicated theories that people come up with, and when they say things like, okay, I want to min-max this wonderful, character and get, be able to cast 50 magic missiles by level 5, whatever. Okay, great guy, you do you. But that's not really me. I'm more interested in the story behind the fellow who can cast 50 magic missiles. And why would you want to? Maybe there's something wrong with you? I don't know. Or maybe you're a weapon designed by the royal alchemist. And anyway, so that's the situation I'm in. But I would really love to be able to log into a place and say, hey folks, I feel like running a game today. Anybody want to play Masks? Or anybody want to play Passion de la Passiones? I'm sure I totally screwed up that phrase. Passion de la Passiones. I don't know. I tried. It's probably not very good, but I would love to play the game. I can't pronounce the game, but I would love to play it. It sounds very dramatic and very fun. It's based on telenovelas, so if you know what those are, you know that they are dramatic and fun too. Or if I could say something like, hey, let's play Starfinder, or hey, let's play Marvel Superheroes Phase Rip Edition, because that's one of my favorite games of all time. As long as I'm not using the it's not rules as written. I just use the feat table function of equivalent activities or talents. Is that what it is? Well, whatever. It's a feat, right? It's what they call feats. The feat table gives you a result of white, green, yellow, and red result is always best. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Back to topic. So the topic is that I wish there was a place I could go and just be assured that, yeah, for the next 4 hours, I could have a game. Do I want to be a professional dungeon master? No, I don't want to be a professional dungeon master. It's not something that I'm interested in. Why? Because it feels a lot like doing something for fun and turning it into something for money. However, to be honest, putting together a game costs a lot of money. Every month, I've figured it out. It's about $50 to $60 a month for all the little dooley-wahs that I have that helps me make a game. So, and that's crazy. I've got to really cut down on some of them, but some of them are year-long licenses, so I don't have to pay for them again for a while, but, that's the way it's going right now. Anyway, I'd be interested if you have any feedback, if you know of such a place where I can go in. There are people who are inclusive, who are friendly, who are more story-oriented than not, who are open to playing games that are not Dungeons & Dragons. No offense to Dungeons & Dragons. I love Dungeons & Dragons. I played it for a long time. But I really want to play something else. I guess the other thing is that it would be relatively cheap or free. I realize that there is this problem that a lot of people have, and that is that when you don't pay for something, you kind of look down on it. And that's not good. So it might be best if you have to pay like $5 a month to be on this special group. I don't have a lot of free time, but when I do, I'd love to be able to devote my time to that. Okay. Well, everybody, I am keeping things to 15 minutes. I hope you have a blessed, wonderful November, and sweet dreams when you get them.